Good morning, welcome back to Black Bear Forge. It is mid-November and the holiday season is fast approaching, so I thought I would start looking at projects that will make good gift ideas for Christmas, Hanukkah, whichever holiday you celebrate. Now the truth is, lots of things we make here on this channel make good Christmas ideas. We have done candle holders, we've done trivets, we've done bottle openers. We've made lots and lots of hooks as part of the Hook of the Week series, and all of those things are good gift ideas. But for the next few weeks, I thought I would try to make things that are a little bit more specifically gift-oriented, or maybe things you could make to sell at your local holiday gift bazaar. And for today's project, I thought we would make a spatula that has a bottle opener in the handle. What barbecue enthusiast doesn't like to have a frosty cold beverage while they're out barbecuing? Now, this is hardly a new idea. I have seen variations on this theme in all sorts of blacksmithing forums, in blacksmithing publications. Lots of people make spatulas with bottle openers. But you know what? In 30 some odd years, I've never made one. So today is the day. Anyway, for today's project, I have a piece of 3/16 by 3/4 inch flat bar, and this is out of the scrap pile. Length doesn't really matter. It's got some junk going on down here that I'm going to cut off anyways, but this just gives me a handle I can work with while we forge it. And that makes that about 4 or 5 millimeters thick by 20 millimeters wide. Then I have a little piece of about 14 gauge scrap sheet metal, and it's about 4 1/4 inches wide, or about 110 millimeters wide. Again, the size of these things don't matter. When I do projects like this, I'm not looking to make a production item that I'm going to make 20 or 30 of. I'm just making a one-off, and I just use whatever materials are at hand, and it just comes out the way it wants to come out. And that's part of the fun of it. You don't have to make it specific. If you need to make it specific and you want to make a whole bunch of them, cut all your materials the same, forge all your steps the same, and you can make them all match if you want to. But that's not what I'm trying to do today. I think we'll start by forging out the handle. That way we can warm the shop up a little bit, and while this cools, then we can worry about the sheet metal piece that will be the blade of the spatula. I'm just going to start by drawing this out. And I want to let it get a little bit thicker, but I don't want it to get hourglass shape, so I am going to work this side a little bit. And I think that's probably all the material I'm going to need to make a nice long handle. I'm also going to leave this end a little bit fatter through here so I can make a nice attachment for the spatula blade when we get to that point. And of course, drawing out over the horn can be just a little bit faster. Leaves a finish you'll need to work over the face of the anvil. Because it's round, moves material much quicker. Now we just need to come back up here and clean this up. I do want a fairly nice transition between what will be the handle of the spatula and the, I guess you'd call it a shank or a shaft, or this long skinny part here. More technical terms. You can make this round, square, octagon, put twists in it, do whatever you want to do. You do want it to be as even a forging as possible, not lumpy and bumpy and looking all funny. Mostly I'm just straightening it and smoothing out the surface a little bit at this low heat. For this end, I want to go ahead and put a little bit of a point on it. This just depends on what you want. There's lots of variations that you can do here. And I'm going to come over here and do some half-face blows and spread this out. Just make a nice taper here. And this is the part that the blade will attach to. It just gives a little bit wider surface and more contact for the blade. So probably need a little bit of filing before we're all done. And again, just straighten it up at a lower heat. And that should be pretty good. So now what I want to do is cut this off, back up in here, leave enough room for a handle and a bottle opener. I just want to leave enough material here to get that done. And by doing it from the edges, I start off with a nice kind of a round bit there. It'll make this a little easier to finish in the long run. So I want to put a hole in the end here where the bottle opener is going to be. You can be better up a little closer there. Just moving my slot punch back and forth a little bit because it's not as long as I'd like my hole. I'm going to go over a bolster. Hard to line all this stuff up. But not impossible. So there's our hole. Still got a bit of a rag there, the slug. There's the slug that came out. And I'm going to turn the bottom side up here so that I push that little bit of rag back in and use my punch moving around the hardie hole so it's supported a different place each time, just to open that hole up. We just come over the horn of the anvil now. You kind of draw the ring out this way. It's easy to get thin spots, so pay attention to where it needs to be drawn out the most. Now, to make this perfectly round, it's certainly acceptable to drift it. You'll end up with a nice round circle. This is just drawing it out to make it all even at this point. Sometimes you need to move to the other side of the anvil and turn it around this way if you need to. Just whatever it takes to get it all cleaned up. I think we'll drift that the next heat. So I'm going to go over the hardie hole with this drift and try not to drive it all the way through because I want to be able to do just like this with it. If you need a series of drifts, that's okay too. I can drop that out. I think I'm pretty happy with the way this is right now. It's going to take a little filing. There's a little ragged edge on there. So take the time to file it if you need to. And another excellent option would be to round this up using a little cone mandrel like this. It lets you see the whole thing and is a lot better, I think, than the horn of the anvil. But it's a specialized tool that a lot of people may not have. And I'm not trying to draw it out, I'm just trying to bend it round at this point. So the next step is going to be to file that, or use a die grinder or whatever. I think I'll just do that off camera. I don't think you need to watch that. Then I can reach it right back here at the anvil right about now. So this is all smoothed up. There's no sharp edges to cut yourself on. Next thing we want to do is make the little tab that actually engages the bottle. To do that, we'll use a ball nose punch. Look and see if one side looks more inclined to have this than the other. Then I just put the punch a little bit back from the edge and start pulling that tab out into the ring of the bottle opener. It's a whole lot harder to work backwards than it is to work into the ring. That's probably all you need. Just enough to catch the bottle. And I like flattened bottle openers. I like them oval, I don't like them round, but personal preference. I just do this freehand right here at the edge of the anvil. It kind of slips one way and then the other, so you have to keep turning it over, keep an eye on it. There are probably as many versions of bottle openers as there are blacksmiths, so make it the way you want to make it. And then I'm going to bevel the edges of this a little bit. Still just a little bit of heat in there, which you may not be able to see on the camera. The last thing I want to do here is clean up this little transition here because that's not quite symmetrical. I'm just going to make sure the ring of the bottle opener is not in contact with the surface of the anvil. And just kind of even that out a little bit. But really, that's about all you need to do. Any ornaments or decorations that you want to put on there is entirely your choice. So I say that's all you need to do, and I keep fiddling with it. So while the handle end with the bottle opener cools, let's go ahead and cut out the sheet metal piece. And to do that, I'm going to start with a paper pattern. And I have a piece of paper folded in half. And I'm just going to draw what I think the spatula ought to look like. And this is a fairly classic kind of colonial shape here. You can make this whatever you want. But by drawing half of it at the fold of the paper, you guys have probably all done this before in some form or another. We can then cut this out, and that gives us a full-size pattern that happens to fit on our piece of sheet metal. Now we can just trace this. Although I think I may alter this. I see something I don't like real well. And this is something that you could certainly, if you're going to make a lot of these, make a sheet metal pattern and keep it around. So here's my center line there. I think this is a little bit too skinny. So I'm going to come out, that's a 1/2 inch from there. I'm going to come out a 1/2 inch there. And I'm just going to make a quick adjustment to that pattern because I can. And then we need to cut this out. So how do you cut it out? We have looked previously at cutting things like this out using a chisel, and if that's all you have, use a cold chisel. There's no reason not to. Do it cold. It's thin enough. Just protect your anvil before you break all the way through, or get close and then snap it off at the vise. But today I think I'll do most of this at the Beverly shear, then I'll clean it up either with a grinder or a file, just depending on how close we get to it. And then we will shape this and put our project together. Another way you could do this is with a little portaband saw. You could even start this with a hacksaw. So it's just whatever you want to do. I suppose you could cut it out with an angle grinder if you're careful. And certainly if you own a plasma cutter, you can cut this out. I was talking to somebody the other day, said they wish they had a left-handed Beverly shear so they could get these opposite cuts without flipping it over, because I don't have a pattern on the back side. But I think we will be able to make this work. Also make sure you knock any sharp edges off of this. But that is our spatula blank all ready to go. But I don't want this flat. Now personally, I don't think a spatula should be just perfectly flat like this. I think I like it with the blade bent up and the handle bent back, and I think I'm going to put some extra in here. And I think I'm still going to do a little twist on this, just because we can. So what I want to do is right across here, put that in the vise, and I'm just going to do this cold because it's a thin piece of sheet metal. I'm going to put that bend in there. And already I think that makes this spatula look better. The next thing we're going to do then is go ahead and rivet it together. And to do that, I am going to find the center of this. Should be right about there. And I think I'll find the center down here as well. This would have been easier to do before I bent it, I guess. But that's okay for this. And I know that's where I'm going to want my holes to be. And I'm just going to put 2 3/16 rivets in this. Then line your handle up. And I always prefer to just drill a single hole. Then after I have this part assembled, I'll drill the second hole. Or maybe I should say I'll punch the hole. You could hot punch these holes if you wanted to, or you can drill them. That little Whitney punch is a nice way to go, but not required. In fact, I will drill this second hole. Line that up so it's centered there. Now looking at this, my rivet head's a little big. I should have put it back there or gone to an 1/8 inch rivet for this one. And I'm making little tiny rivet heads here. They're not the full dome. And that just makes for less interference there. And now I want to heat this up. I want to straighten any misalignment, take any twist out, except the twist I'm going to put in here, then give a little shape to the bottle opener end, and it's done. I think I'm going to go ahead and start by doing a little bit of a twist in the handle here. I also noticed that I put my little tab on the bottle opener the opposite the way I think it should be. So by twisting the handle, we can fix that. It's a little bit of an uneven twist, but for this project I think I'm okay with it. And I think I need to straighten this a little bit that way, so I'm going to heat that up again. I just want to straighten that. You may have to tighten your rivets up a little bit if it gets off too far, or if you get it loose, I should say. The other thing I want to do is I want to kick that handle back a little bit. Oh, I still got just a little bit of heat in there. Just kind of like that. I also like to roll my bottle opener up a little bit. I think it just works a little bit better. This is just really up to you what you want to do with all this stuff. Then as my final touch, I finish things like this with just straight beeswax. That's a food safe finish, unless you're allergic to beeswax. But I avoid the Johnson's paste wax like I usually use because it's a petroleum product and it's not something I want to eat. Then as it cools, just wipe off all the excess and treat it in use just like you would your favorite cast iron skillet. That's the first spatula with a bottle opener I've ever made. Kind of a fun little morning's project. But for now, I do hope you enjoyed the project. If you did, give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, I would love it if you hit that subscribe button down there. Stick around, watch a few of the other videos. Feel free to share the videos with your friends on social media. If you'd like to provide financial support for the channel, there are links in the video description for both PayPal and Patreon. Those are merely donations. The content is free and will remain free. In the meantime, I hope you have time to get out to your shop, make something, but stay safe, wear your safety glasses. We'll see you for the next one.